So, on suggestions of many piano tuners and technicians and friends, I decided to rebuild my Schimmel. It's going to Cantabile Pianos tomorrow. If all goes right and the movers get here and everything is right, it's going there for a couple of months, maybe 2-3 months, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do, but how much they're going to rebuild. But there is a couple cracks in the soundboard in this piano, and the hammers really need to be changed. The action is loud, and probably there is lots of things which are worn from the action. This piano is as old as I am, from 1986. It's a 6'9" or 7-foot Schimmel, German piano. This instrument is getting too bright because the hammers over the last 34 years of use, they have degraded. There's a lot less felt left. So it's to a point where they have been filed a few times and they've been voiced, and now all the piano technicians say we can't file it anymore because they're going to get too close to the wood. So when we are getting this close to the wood, we need to replace the hammers. It's probably been in musicians' hands its whole life, so it's seen a lot of use. There is no reason to change the hammers by itself, because if I change the hammers, there's still going to be a lot of other problems. And the last thing, hopefully they'll change the strings. We'll see. I don't know exactly what to expect, but I wanted to document this and see how it goes. This is the last recording on this piano as we know it. We'll play some Rachmaninoff.
really can't believe it's rebuilt.
Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you guys that the piano came back safely and it has been fully rebuilt and it sounds great. It did come back with a squeak in the pedal, which you are going to hear in the comparison recording of Rachmaninoff. But it has been fixed, and for the Schumann recording, it's not there anymore. Of course, it needs to be tuned over and over, because any time that the piano comes back with new strings or a new piano, it will lose its tune really quickly. While I show you pictures of this rebuild, I want to make sure that you know that this is not a technical video. I'm not a piano technician in any way, and a lot of the times I don't really know what's going on over there, but I had some help from my technician who works at Juilliard, and she helped explain what's going on over there. If you are a piano technician and watching this, you obviously have a much greater understanding what's going on there. So just remember, technicians are like luthiers who perfect the art of working on an instrument, and pianists do a very different thing. We are playing it. I'm asking Katha to guide us through the process of pictures, because she is really much better at speaking in front of the camera. I talk to people my whole life. That's what I do, and I can't say 2 words in front of a camera.
As Illya mentioned before, the original soundboard in his Schimmel was cracked. So in this very first picture, we see they've taken out that soundboard. This is the new soundboard. And it's not something that you get from a factory where a giant machine has cut it and 1,000 others out over the course of a minute. Each one here is cut by hand from one piece of wood. So on top of the soundboard goes the ribs. And here we're seeing the ribs being attached. The function of the ribs is to stiffen and to strengthen the soundboard. And it also creates what's called the crown, or the bow of the soundboard. It's similar to a violin. Think of the belly of the instrument, which you can see quite clearly an arch that the wood creates. It's the same here, except much more subtle. The crown is kind of the essence of the piano, improving tone, sound, and projection, decay, etc. As the crown starts to dissipate, the piano still functions, but it will never be a concert instrument again until it gets a new soundboard. Here the bridge is being glued to the soundboard. The bridge, just like in the violin, is what holds the strings up and away from the wood of the instrument, allowing the sound to be amplified. There's the bass bridge, which is the short one, and the long bridge. Again, like in the ribs earlier, those clamps are applying pressure while they're being glued on. So this is what a full piano key looks like. What you play on the keyboard actually extends far into the piano. The entire mechanism, called the action, causes the hammer at the far end of the key to strike the strings when the key is pressed. And one of the issues Illya had with this piano is that all of the action was really loud. The felt at the end of the piano keys was getting really worn down. So imagine playing that same key for over a decade, although in Ilya's case, it's really much more than a decade because this piano was built in 1986. So over decades, you are striking the same keys over and over and over again. The felt becomes more compacted over time, and the sound becomes increasingly more loud and harsh. So here they put all new felts on, redone the hammers, and everything. This is the key frame. Basically, they put new felts on everything, on the key end, and all of that green stuff you see in the key frame, that's all new felt. They've replaced everything except the wood. The key frame is where the keys and all the action sits, so it can slide in and out of the piano frame. They took apart each key and buffed and lubricated the metal parts because as the metal tarnishes, they actually create more friction. And in a mechanism, you want everything to be moving as smoothly as possible. The key tops were even re-glued, and this was something Illya actually had trouble with in the past. The key tops would come away, and he would just use Elmer's glue to put them back on, which is definitely not recommended, but it works in a pinch. This is called the plate. It's made entirely out of cast iron and stabilizes the overall structure and absorbs the enormous amount of tension placed on the instrument by the strings. It's extremely heavy, and you can see here they've connected it to a chain hoist, which is really the only way you're supposed to move it. This is kind of cool. What we see on top of the bridge here is graphite, which is the same material they use for pencil lead. They covered the whole thing in graphite and then chisel out each notch for the strings by hand. Now, I thought this was really interesting that graphite is used on pianos this way because there's this trick that string players use, which I use, which is I put graphite on the bridge of my instrument to decrease the friction and have a smoother tuning experience. So, same thing here. Here they're gluing the soundboard and pin block into the frame of the piano with I don't know how many clamps. Maybe you guys can count them. Let me know in the comments. And again, these clamps are creating and maintaining that necessary pressure. And here they're installing new back check leather, part of the action that hits the hammer. And again, this is just going to help make the action and the keys quieter. The bridge and outer rim of the piano are all taped and covered off here because they're about to put the plate in and they don't want to scratch anything. Brand new strings and felt, new pins, new bass strings, new everything. Because when you replace the soundboard, you really have to replace everything else.
So that's it. I hope it gave you more idea of what's going on inside of piano and what technicians have to do in order to construct or rebuild a piano. The guys at Cantabile Pianos in Yonkers did an amazing job. I could not recommend them enough. And if you're looking to rebuild or do some serious work on your piano, they're your people. My piano sounds better than it has ever sounded before, and I have a suspicion that they did a better job than when it was a new piano now 35 years ago. If you enjoyed this video, please give it thumbs up and a like, and watch it and comment it, and we really appreciate it. And cheers until next time.